Hello.
Hello and welcome everybody to another chilly Monday. Winter seems to be creeping around the corner, and here we are again with another episode of our box lunch program from the Community Arts Center here in Fort Worth. We are so very happy that everybody decided to join us today. We hope you're staying warm. Another week is upon us, and we have a great artist and educator with us today, the one and only Deedra Baker. How you doing today, Deedra?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I got a new do last week, finally, after 8 months of growing my hair out. I couldn't take it anymore. My daughter is struggling through cosmetology school, so I thought I'd get a free haircut, and I still had to tip her. So
Yeah.
that's what you get. But I do look a little bit more well-kempt. I got to vote, so onward and upward through another week. The cool weather's a nice change, and just happy to be here and happy that you took the time to visit with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So excited. Anything with the Fort Worth Community Arts Center is a good thing in my book. So
well, I'm flattered that you would say that. Now, before we get into all of our great information and our wonderful lunch menus, I was curious if you'd just take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
Sure. So I'm Deedra Baker, as you said, and I wear many hats. I am an artist, an educator, and I run the nonprofit Art Room, which is based here in Fort Worth. I'm actually originally from Kansas, where I grew up in rural Kansas, east of Wichita. And then I moved to Texas to attend Texas Women's University to get my Master's of Fine Arts. And my primary medium is photography. And I also make book arts, or make artist books. And so I have taught both. And right now I'm teaching photography at Texas Christian University and Tarrant County College. But I've also taught at Collin College, Texas Women's, and the University of North Texas. So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great colleagues at all of those institutions and meet with a lot of great students. And then, so still working on Art Room. Again, that's a nonprofit here in town. And we've been around for a couple years as a nonprofit. And before that, we were doing exhibitions. So more of creative curatorial practices through kind of pop-up kind of exhibitions. And then we kind of switched gears to nonprofit, where we're bringing in our expertise for art education as well. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot this lunch, I hope.
Wow, a lot of irons and a lot of fires. It sounds like you are certainly a jack of all trades and staying quite busy, I'm assuming, during all of these crazy times. So as we delve into that, do you mind telling us a little bit about what is on your lunch menu today, and what ingredients are you using to create your sustenance today?
Speaking of, I just turned my stove down. Yeah, so I'm not much of a cook. So the first thing I thought of when y'all asked me, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna find out that I eat like a college student. But so I just went with something simple today, and I love like taco salads because they're so fast and easy, but you can have a lot of textures and flavors in it. But anyway, so I just have some black beans and corn on the stove right now, and just simply seasoned with salt, black pepper, chili powder, garlic powder, and onion powder. And then I just like to use like a garden salad, and toss that on there with cheese, chips crumbled, and then salsa. And I really love, of course, Joe Cheese, Garcia's salsa,
Nice, nice. The special ingredient is revealed early.
Yeah, that is kind of the top it off with a lot of that salsa, and you can make anything good. But yeah, so something simple, easy for lunch or dinner, but yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Awesome, awesome. So my lunch menu today, I'm reheating, but all of the ingredients that I am reheating, we actually made over the course of this weekend. So I was lucky enough to escape to a very small little community up in Azle this week, and we were gifted some grass-fed hamburger meat. So we made homemade chili, and then the next night we made some hamburgers as well. All of it was absolutely scrumptious. So today I am combining those great efforts, and I am making a chili burgers.
That sounds great.
So I am also in the process of heating up some homemade chili. Swear to God, everybody out there actually made this. I am quite impressed. Wasn't too terribly hard in the crock pot. And then also have my burgers with the cheese already on there melting. So I'm going to warm that up and go with a nice warm lunch palate for this, 50-degree day, I think it is today.
Yeah, I don't even think it's up to 50. Yeah, chilly.
Well, I know our partners up in the north are learning how to drive again. Looks like they've got ice and all kinds of fun stuff. So as I mentioned to you earlier, I think this might be nature's way of telling us to just go ahead and stay inside for maybe another day or two and be safe and take care of each other. So speaking of staying inside, do you mind talking a little bit while you're prepping your lunch about how your organizations and even you yourself as an artist have been reacting to the COVID-19 pandemic and all the other crazy things that are going on in the world today?
Sure. Yeah. So where do I start? Well, so fortunately, I've been teaching at institutions that have been really fantastic in terms of their pivot through the education system. TCU especially has been really great through their communication and training for faculty. So, we kind of transitioned to online, especially in the spring. And then this fall, I've been teaching more hybrid, where, we're just doing in-class and online, and that's working really well. As an artist, I have felt really, just mentally bogged down by the world. So I haven't found as much time to make work. But I do feel like things are kind of percolating there for me, and it will happen when it's the right time. And then in terms of art room, we just had to kind of, make a big decision of what to do for our community in terms of course, we want to still be here and serve them, but safely. Prior to we did in fact have a brick and mortar in the near south side, but we decided for financial purposes to go ahead and moved everything to virtual for programming. And so we no longer have our brick and mortar, but we just decided, okay, so what can we still do? So for the summer, we did virtual summer camps and worked with kiddos that way, which worked well. And then, we've been doing some online exhibitions, so using our website as a platform to still share artists' work. And then now coming up, we have the privilege of doing a call for entry that just closed, and we'll be announcing the artists this week at a small work show. We'll actually be installing as a physical exhibition at Fort Worth Community Arts Center. Nice. So really, we've just been rethinking, what can we do to still serve, but do it safely and do what's best for the community and for us, the organizers. So kind of slowing down and kind of a little bit of survival mode through the year, but I think that was good. It's just, a couple years into our programming anyway, we can, take that as an opportunity to just reevaluate where we need to put our energy to really see what's going to succeed. So yeah, it's been an interesting time. For me, I just have tried to stay connected, virtually, like we all are doing. I live here by myself with my dog and cat, so I just FaceTime or text people. I have this great friends from graduate school. We all do trivia together Saturday nights. We have a standing trivia date. So some of us are in the DFW area, some are actually in Georgia. And so just sort of checking in with each other, I think has been really great. And realizing, it's okay to be maybe moving a little bit slower right now.
Yeah.
And to just like remember, oh yeah, mental health, is really important. So yeah, kind of all those things to just try and keep moving forward though.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I'm curious on the educational aspect. Now, you teach at a few different places. Are you seeing consistency in the educational community of trying, after they've had some opportunity to reopen, do virtual in-house classes as well? Having that perception from a few different institutions, are you seeing consistency come into play now? Or are people still just kind of just seeing what works and what holds?
Yeah, no, I would say every institution is totally different, unfortunately. So for me, for example, and I think a lot of it is based on the student demographic,
Sure.
honestly. So the students I work with, at Tarrant County College, they are a less traditional student demographic in terms of, they're not direct matriculates from high school. They're maybe going back to school or getting continual education, or that's just taking them a little bit longer. They're maybe a part-time students, they have families, they have full-time jobs, all of this. So I feel like Tarrant County kind of decided, okay, let's do all online, and we actually do it asynchronously, meaning we record everything so that students can participate in a little bit more of an online class. Whereas TCU, it's a little bit more of like a traditional direct from high school, you go and you do your 4 years full college experience. And I think that what we were really trying to do is to provide that opportunity for that in-class. So we as educators could choose based on, everyone has their own circumstances. So for me, I chose to do hybrid, where I meet with my students kind of in two groups. So they're split up. So there's only about half of them in the classroom at once, so that we're able to still use Zoom and Zoom in or log in with Zoom, and we're all meeting together, but it's more hybrid. And then the students are able to choose what they feel like is safe for them, if they can come to class or if they feel more comfortable just dialing in. So I think that the institutions have done okay though in terms of trying to figure out what's best for their faculty and staff and students. Sure. Yeah, but no, I would say, and I've talked to colleagues at other institutions, it's just totally different based on the university or college.
Sure, sure. I think sometimes people forget that online classes were a thing for years. I mean, honestly, it's been an opportunity there for quite a while, and I'm just always so taken aback when people are so shocked or surprised about an online opportunity. And it seems to me like it's already been there for quite a while. So what are some of the challenges that you see as an artist and an educator in terms of teaching in person and communicating the value of art as opposed to trying to do it virtually? Is there a difference between having the image be a GIF as opposed to actually being in the room with the piece of art?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's really hard, and I'm really glad that I teach digital photo right now. So it was a lot easier to translate, but my students don't get to print right now is the biggest difference. They don't get that tangible object of sort of the finished piece.
Right.
But I know like other mediums, it's very hard because you just don't have that like sort of more tactile experience.
Right.
And even, social distance situations, it's hard. We're used to being able to get up there and like you take the pencil, or, you're making something together kind of collaboratively as a faculty member and as a student. And now you have to be so conscious of, keeping that safe distance. And, I'll sometimes still be like, oh, may I use your mouse and I'll show you then. And it's like hand sanitize before and after. So just, there are some barriers, but I just feel like my situation is a little bit better because I am teaching digital photography and it's sort of intro. So we're doing a lot of things on the computer anyway, but there are certainly, it's certainly not the same in terms of like, you know, kind of the interaction, and we're not all in the same space together. And critique was, you know, sharing your screen of images rather than having the printed image there. But I know, you know, this summer when I was doing kids summer camps, it was not at all the same.
Right.
Luckily, the kids were great and they were really into it. But it was just, you know, there's so much to kind of set up and try and demo. And I'm in these different Facebook groups of educators, and they have like all these elaborate sets for just like, you know, here's my phone pointing down so I can see, and then there's two computers here so they can see, and the audio and the lighting, and there's just a lot to take into account to try and make it the best for the students. And I think a lot of us want to do, you know, the synchronous, those are the like hot words, asynchronous or synchronous, because the synchronous, like, you know, a live class, it just feels like more of like what we're all wanting, the face-to-face in-person class and that community, because that's what's so amazing about studio art classes. You know, I remember when I was in undergrad, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm cheating the system because I get to go and like make art with my friends and like chit chat and talk about art the whole class period, you know, and that's, I think, what we're all kind of missing.
Yeah, you know, I think it's very true. I ask a lot of people what they're looking forward to, and there's a variant in coffee shops or, you know, restaurants or this or that, but the one consistency is the communal aspects of all of that. And you know, I think people are really starting to see what art really does is bring us together. And you know, there's a lot of debate about whether you like a piece or don't like a piece or what that messaging is. But that ability to gather and share that emotional, communal space together really is something that that I think people continue to long for. And I know that a lot of people are struggling to get back to that. And again, hopefully we'll get there. But I'm just so enamored with the way that people are rising up to the occasion with some of these virtual presentations and finding ways to continue to thread that emotional togetherness through comments or Zoom meetings or any of that in the art world. But that really does seem to be what I'm finding people are really longing for, is just being able to feel that emotional energy of other people in the room with you. So now you said you're working on photography right now. Is that your medium of choice, or does your current project lend itself to that particular media?
I would say that's my medium of choice, definitely. I definitely see the world like, you know, through a lens of you know, observing the light and, you know, all of that. I definitely do not see the world in a 3D fashion. Yeah, so, and right now I've been working on a long-term project, and so this is another reason why it's kind of hard to work on, but I've been photographing the females in my family back home in rural Kansas. And so I started that for my thesis work, and I've just continued it, and I think it'll be a continual project. But through that project, I've sort of become more interested in just the archive in general, and so I'm kind of leaning towards starting a project on a personal archive of like things that we keep. It's one of those things where I haven't had more time during this pandemic. I'm just always like overcommitting myself and busy. But I also feel like for me, I'm missing out on being inspired by seeing other art, you know, regularly. And around this time of year, I would have normally gone to a Society for Photographic Education South Central conference. Well, we had it this last weekend and it was virtual, which was still great, but it just, you know, it just really made me long for seeing things in person to inspire me. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of that, like, artist's block, I guess, of jumping to the next project. But my long-term project does include color digital photographs. I've also in the past made self-portraits and artists' books that typically include text and image. So photography tends to wind its way into all of my work.
Nice, very nice. Now you mentioned it briefly there. I believe your current project is called Ties That Bind. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And how's that coming? Do you mind talking a little bit about that? It seems extremely intriguing. You've got some generational research going on, I believe. And how's all that coming? Tell us a little bit about that project, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So I started that back in really 2015.
Wow.
Wow. I can't believe it's been that long. And that's one thing I like. I mean, not that other mediums can't work over time, but what I love about this project is it has 3 generations of women. So my mother, my 3 sisters, myself, and my 2 nieces. And I'm photographing us at what I call our home place. My parents moved there in 1981 and they still live there. And so it's where we all kind of grew up. My nieces are there all the time too. And so it's kind of like where we all come back to, you know, it's sort of like, that's where we all come for holidays, birthdays and such. And I'm the only kid that has moved to a different state.
Oh, wow.
So I'm the farthest away. And so when I moved to Texas, and I was, of course, in my graduate studies, I really started to feel nostalgic for that place. And whenever I went back, it was really special to me. And so then I wanted to start to photograph it. And I've always been interested in female identity, probably because I grew up with all these females. So kind of was tying that in there. And I was interested in our physical relationship to each other through like looking, you know, if you look at the portraits, you sort of try and make comparisons and you contrast like, well, who does she look like? Or which one, you know, these are the nieces, they're younger, but which one is their mom or whatever. And sort of looking at those things. But then also our relationship to the land and the keepsakes that we have in the home that I remember, oh, this has always been on this dresser in my mom and dad's bedroom, you know, this jewelry box or such. So I just like wanted to explore kind of our connections to each other and to this space and these objects that were so precious. And what I love about the medium of photography is that I'm also capturing the literal like change in season and,
Sure.
you know, us growing older, especially the little one. I started photographing and she was like 3.
Wow.
And now she's 8. So it's really fun to see that transition. And I mean, we've all changed. Of course, those of us who are older, it's maybe more of our hair or something. But I'm just really that. And that started to make me think of more of our family archive. And I don't know if that really ties into that project or if that was like something else I want to explore. But I really, those pictures in that project is really special to me because it's so personal. But I like to think that it's like speak to a broader audience because everyone has those important relationships to other people, whether it's a biological family or a found family, or it's a space or a specific place. Like I'm really tied to that place of my family's. They have 66 acres. It's kind of like,
wow, nice.
Like ranch, but my dad used to do it more like almost like a hobby, I feel like. But we always had horses and cattle and, you know, we had geese for a while and we were in 4-H when we were kids, like the youth leadership and all of that. So I think, yeah, I'm just like really interested to my tie back to that place and how it kind of influenced who I am and then all the other women, you know, who grew up there.
Wow. And is this a continual work in progress? Are there places where you can see some of the work, or are you holding it all till it's completed in your mind?
Yeah.
And then
well, so actually, I exhibited this project at the beginning of 2020 at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center.
Right.
I had a show. It was like, doesn't even feel like that was this year. Yes, so it does exist as an exhibition of about 19 prints. And then it's on my website right now. I need to update that, of course, with more of the images. But yeah, so it has been shown like 3 times as a solo show.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've shown it a few images here and there in juried exhibitions and such. So yes, it has gone out into the world, so to speak.
Very nice, very nice. And you say we can find some of that on your website as well, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just deedrabaker.com.
Perfect. We'll come back to that as well. That's an important one.
Yeah.
All right, Deedra. So do you have some lunch gnomes working behind you, or how do you go about preparing this fabulous taco salad?
So this is this is like the easiest thing. So I'm just going to put a couple scoops of the, it's cold. I put corn in the black beans too. I don't know if this.
Nice. All right. There's another special tip.
Just gonna put some of that there.
Now, Deedra, don't reveal it yet. That comes at the end of the episode. So just let us know how it's coming there, and then that way we get that great reveal at the end.
Okay, it's good. I'm just put my cheese on so it'll melt on my black beans and corn.
Awesome. All right. So it sounds like it's pretty straightforward there. And again, I always get so excited to see these reveals at the end of these box lunches. It's certainly a highlight for me, because it just reminds me that there are also some culinary classes online that I might want to start looking into myself. So
yeah, right.
Deedra, what have you learned about yourself or your art during this trying time?
Well, so what's really interesting is I consider myself an introverted person, and I always liked my evenings like by myself and quiet, But now I'm like, well, my whole day was already like that. So I'm finding that I do need human interaction in person more than I realized. Because beforehand, I would be at class, like most of the day, teaching in person, maybe at art room or going to a gallery opening or something. And now, I go to class 2 days a week in the mornings. And then otherwise I don't go anywhere unless I'm going to the grocery store. So I would say personally, I found that really interesting. I would still say I'm introverted, but I do definitely need that human interaction. Then I think for my artwork, is that what you also asked about?
It is.
Well, I don't think this is something new, but I think a realization that it's not necessarily about time, needing more time, because certainly I have had more time in the sense that simply not commuting anywhere to get to work or whatever, right, saved so much time. And I do love that about working from home. Is that really for me, for my art making, I always just put myself last and my art last out of everything else I listed that I do. So really just like, and this is what everyone says, but just balance, of balancing and making it a point to make that a priority. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a struggle for real to have a lot of these assumptive blinders on us for so long, and it really feels like they've been stripped away, and to see things in a different way is something that I think is really starting to wake some people up, and just slowing down and being able to really appreciate the things that are out there and around us and always have been. Even just a simple drive to the grocery store or work, when we go in, I'm amazed at the things that I see that I never even knew were there. And that same kind of perception, you try to bring into your life as well when things start slowing down and looking around. And it's been amazing to me, the things that you notice are there, and you think to yourself, is that new?
Yeah.
Like, where's that been? And then you tell somebody about it and they're like, oh my God, that's been there forever. You never realized that? And you're like, yeah, no, I guess I did not. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So Deedra, I'm curious, there's been mountains moved to get us to where we are today, artistically, with virtual performances and all kinds of people coming up with creative ways to continue to produce live theater, shoot movies, create art. Do you think this is pretty much where we're going to stay and continue to try these balances of both, if you will, or do you think we've got some other tricks up our sleeve to be able to create imaginatively, and where are we going to go? How are we going to continue to adapt artistically? Do you think we've hit the crest of that, or do you think there's still some opportunities out there?
Oh gosh, I'm sure as creative as people are, we will always be amazed, I think, with innovation. I think maybe for people right now, there's almost like we were talking about earlier, where we maybe thought we would be past the hump by this point, and we're really not. So maybe understanding, what is working and what isn't working, and then moving ahead with that in terms of accessibility. Now, one thing I do think is really interesting about the virtual is that you can reach a broader audience then, I could see a play in Chicago from Texas or something virtually. But I think that we'll always want to get back to that face-to-face in person because of that sense of community, like we were talking about. There just is nothing quite like that for any of the arts, seeing it in person. But it has been really great to see the innovation of, people really kind of pushing the boundaries to make it work, because we all need it still so much.
Yes.
So much. And I've really loved all of the interviews that people have done throughout, on Instagram Live or Facebook Live or anything, so that you can kind of hear from artists and what they're doing, or educators or whomever.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest blessings about the Box Lunched episodes, is just an opportunity to meet people that were literally next door to you. And I had never taken the time or had that opportunity. So it's been a blessing to continue to see all the creative artists that are out there in the Fort Worth, Dallas community. It's just really amazing. So speaking about getting out and into the world, what item or food venue are you most looking forward to indulging in once we can get back to some in-person activities?
Well, I honestly think the thing I miss the most, and not to plug one of my favorite places, but is getting tea regularly at Leaves. Do you know that book and tea shop?
You are plugging something everybody else plugs it well. That place.
Yeah, I just really I know I can still go and get my tea and support them, and I have throughout the pandemic, but it's just not the same as going in and just loitering and
yes, I know,
drinking your tea and talking to Tina and the other employees and looking at the books and talking yourself out of buying everything in the store. So I really miss that place. And Art Room is located right there, so right. I spent many an afternoon getting a tea in there. So yeah, I really miss that place. Otherwise, I didn't eat out that often. So yeah, that would be my number one.
Movies. I miss the movie theaters so bad.
Yeah.
I love my screaming, don't get me wrong, but those dream loungers, oh my God, I can't wait to go back and sleep in a dream lounger during a poorly made blockbuster.
Right, yeah. That's good.
Seriously. So, Deedra, what helpful community resources are you seeing or using personally, or how can your organization be assisted or provide assistance to other artists and or organizations?
That's a good question. Gosh, lately I feel like I've been a little unplugged from social media. But otherwise, for the most part, what I'm looking at are some of the just local places here that are assisting. So, the Near South Side had their CARES grant,
Right.
which was amazing. And I don't know if they're still doing that or if it came back or whatever, but I know that helped a ton. And I think, Art Tooth is doing a new opportunity. And there's just some other things that I feel like are resurfacing
Right.
in terms of providing artists resources or grants and such. I think the biggest thing is, unfortunately, doing the research yourself and seeing what's available. But on Facebook, the Fort Worth art scene is a great place to see. That's a Facebook group to see kind of happenings in the area, especially. In terms of Art Room, what we're trying to do now is really be as supportive as possible and still host exhibitions so that artists have a venue to share their voice still and share their art. And in terms of academics, we are working to provide supplemental art supplies of Fort Worth ISD teachers. One is at Westcliff Elementary and one is at Jackie Middle School, if I said that correctly. Just to try and kind of help where we can. And we're kind of in a fundraise mode for Art Room so that we can get that money in the bank so that we can start helping more, kind of like looking at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that the Fort Worth Community Arts Center's homepage has a link to some resources as well. And I think one of the things that's important right now where we sit today is I know there's been a lot of debate about financial support from the government and things like that. And one of the things that I think is important to know is that there is a ton of mental support out there as well. And I think that that's sometimes a resource that people aren't always aware of. And now as we move into a new season of weather and however you feel about things, I can't encourage people enough to look into those physical and mental resources as well. And I know that income is always a priority for everybody. And I certainly hope that people are looking to take care of their minds and their bodies as much as they are to take care of some of these other necessities. And so I hope people are aware of that. And I just can't encourage you enough. There is telemedicine out there and all kinds of things just to keep your head on your shoulders. And, some people have suffered immensely through all this. And I, again, think that the body and mind are as important as any of the artistic stuff that we do as artists. And I hope people know that there are some resources out there in regards to that as well. So it's been a crazy year. Somebody said we're in the fourth quarter of 2020, and I hope we're playing the Cowboys. I'm gonna get killed for that. I never should have said that. I'm not from Texas either, so I guess I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't keep up with the Cowboys, actually. I've been watching the Chiefs.
God love them. I'm wondering if they've got a fourth quarterback somewhere in that room. So, yeah, go Cowboys. Hopefully we'll make it through. And I know people are all razzed up and voting early and looking forward to whatever it is they're looking forward to. So do you got any tips or tricks on how to help us stay sane mentally or physically?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Well, I think the biggest thing is like be forgiving, like self-forgiving of like just because you're home more doesn't mean you need to be more productive, or still take those like mental health moments or mental health days if you need, and disconnect from the screen when you need it. I definitely do that on the weekends to kind of reboot. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just sort of listen to yourself mentally and emotionally and physically, and take care of yourself, because that's really the only way we're going to get through this. Because if we take care of ourselves, and it's kind of like put your mask on first before you put the person sitting next to you. So I really think that's important right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What I find amazing is that after 8 months, you think it would be easier. I probably have to remind myself more about a mask now than I did even 8 months ago. I don't know why it hasn't become a habit. I always seem to have one, and I think maybe that's what the hang up is that generally it's there, and when it's not, I'm so surprised that it hasn't become attached to my body that
Right. Yeah.
I'm so taken aback if I don't have one. And so yeah, there's been a couple of U-turns heading here and there thinking, man, how could I have even possibly forgotten that?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this has been one of my guilty pleasures. I encourage you, just go to the grocery store and park close to the door, and it's quite entertaining to watch all the people run back to their cars and grab the mask they forgot. So that's been a little guilty pleasure of mine, I have to say.
That's funny. It's the little things.
It is the little things. So Deedra, are you all plated up on your lunch there?
I am, yeah. Actually, I just have to add my salsa.
All right. While you're doing that, I'm going to plate up on mine real quick, and then we will move on to our lovely presentations. I'm going to wait till you turn around to ask you this final and most important question while I get my burger all set up here. I got to say, I'm honestly looking forward to this one today and hoping that it turns out to be everything I think it is. So, all right. So Deedra, here is the most crucial question of the day. How and where can our viewers find you and keep up with all of the wonderful things that you've got going on, and also any information to see any of your great work?
Oh yeah, so definitely my website, which is just my name, deedrabaker.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Again, just my name, nothing fancy. And then you can see kind of what I'm up to with Art Room also by following us on social media. It's Art Room FW, and the Art Room website is artroomfw.org. So that's a great way to see what we're up to in terms of programming, and then you can kind of see what I'm up to. But for me personally, just my own website. It's just my name.
Nice.
I don't have anything kind of happening soon, but the semester kind of winds down a little bit earlier at TCU this term. So I think, maybe then I'll have a little bit more mental space to look back toward making art.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to keeping up with you. And now is the big reveal. Are you ready?
Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I can show it.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Nice job, Deedra.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
It's not my first time making.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I think this is both fat-free and gluten-free, maybe. Ooh, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Chili burger for your Monday pleasure right there. I know it. I can't say enough how excited I am to try this. So, Deedra, I need to eat. You got any final words of wisdom for our viewers out there?
I don't know.
That's a word of wisdom in 2020. I don't know.
Yeah. Stay in contact with those you love. That's the most important thing right now, right? It kind of keeps you healthy too.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. That is 2020. I don't know.
In a nutshell, for sure. All right. Well, Deedra, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us today. It has been an absolute pleasure to visit with you. I hope your lunch is as good as it looks. And it's just been a joy to visit with you. And we thank you not only for the company today, but also for the great work you're doing out there. Please keep it up. And we wish you nothing but the best. and look forward to you getting over to the Art Center again.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of Boxed Lunch. We will be back next week. Please, ladies and gentlemen, wash your hands, get out there and vote, 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 please. We need it bad. So have a great day, everybody. Stay safe out there, and bon appetit, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye, everybody.